Yeah, so unfortunately yesterday was a bit busy, didn't really get time to go through what was being shown. So today going to kind of double bill and go through both yesterday's Custodes and today's Death Guard. So going to go through fairly quickly because I'm sure people have probably seen it already. We'll do the Custodes first, sorry. So again, 3 detachments, each one is going to be 1 detachment point. The first one is Might of Moroitoi, and is all about the dreadnoughts. So the walker units have +2 inch movement, have +1 to advance and charge. If it has the armory tag, can't take it with another armory tag. These are quite frequent in a few armies, what can and can't. The Death Guard one, having just looked through, has quite a few. So I'm guessing again it's their way of tempering how much you can kind of focus on one element and kind of double down with stacking too many buffs. Oromite Sarcophagus is an upgrade. It allows you to target a walker unit with the Crushing Impact stratagem. It costs 1 CP less. So we're going to go through that one. Basically, it's a core strat. It's the replacement of Tank Shock. Rejoice if you are Tyranids or Demons, and feel sad everyone else because it's worse than it was. In the charge, just after you've made one with a monster or vehicle, so that's why you can kind of do it with those now, so it opens it up to a bit more kind of play. You select 1 enemy unit you are engaged with, you select 1 model in your unit, and then you roll d6 equal to the toughness. You then take 1 mortal wound yourself, and then for each 5-up you do 6 mortal wounds. So it functions exactly the same as now, except for you take a mortal wound and monsters can do it. So it does allow, you know, some armies to access it that didn't have it before, which is nice. You then have a specific strat, prioritized eradication, for the Talabon. So even though that's not in plastic, at least it's surviving into at least the start of a next edition. For 1 CP, your unit's Arachnus Storm weapons have rapid fire 6. That's pretty good. And the accelerated cannon has Culverin weapon, has rapid fire 2. So just a bit more volume on them, which is nice. Can't argue with that. Extra kind of output. As it says above, if you have 2 storm cannons, that's 36 shots at half range, which is yeah, a lot of shots. Whether it's worth 1 CP or not, it probably depends on what you're facing. We then have the next one, which is Silent Hunters, kind of focused all around the Sisters of Silence. So it's nice that they've got a 1 CP detachment that at least you can use them. They can get some buff without having to take the entire one of those, the detachment, whatever it was in the Custode book. So Anathema Psychana units make a advance move. That advance move does not prevent them from actioning, which is really solid. Advance and action, yeah, especially given how many actions it looks like there's apparently going to be with the different missions and on top of the secondaries. They also then have the ability, in your shooting phase, select 1 visible enemy unit within 12. That unit is nulled. When a unit is nulled, that unit has +3 detection range. I'm looking forward to working out what word we're going to use to replace the word nulled and all the other ones, spotted and whatnot, in the different armies, and we're just going to come up with probably spotted or something, so that everyone is using the same thing for when we're discussing +3 detection range, because there is already at least 3 or 4 different words that describe this same ability, so I'm not really too sure why they haven't given it an overarching kind of wording just to make life easier for people rather than giving it different ones just for fun. We then have an Anathema Psychana unit upgrade, so you can take it 3 times as an enhancement. They gain the explosives keyword, which is something I know that a lot of units, kind of people are really hoping they have access to in their army, so this is a way to give it to them. When they're targeted with the strat, they get to re-roll, which is really powerful. 1 CP, you know, 6 mortal wounds, slightly more, probably aiming for the 4 to 5 as an average. So that's really good. We then have the Strat Synchronized Inferno, 1 CP. Witchseeker's unit, they get to have Blast 1 on their torrent weapons, which is kind of confirmation that Blast is going to work very similarly to Cleave, whereby there is probably going to be Blast X, so it'll be interesting to see other weapons. Maybe we'll get to find out when we kind of preview Knights or something, if they have a particularly crazy weapon with Blast X or Cleave X on, because they're the likely ones to have it outside of other Titanics and similar kind of models. We then have Tharanatoi Hammerblow. Detachment rule is the hammer falls. If a Terminator unit made an ingress move, reroll charges. Yep, that's pretty good. Can't take it with the Lions detachment. I'm going to assume that that's the one that has the Lions in already. So pretty solid. Do still need a 9-inch 9 on the dice to charge from ingress, but the reroll at least ups the odds of it not failing a tiny bit. We then have the enhancement, Memno Locked Shrine Cipher, a Terminator model. In your first movement phase you can ingress, so again this is the only way now in which you can turn 1 ingress. Abilities like for the Calidus or Mandrakes are not going to work apparently. You have to specifically have an enhancement or ability that it says come in turn 1, so it'll be interesting to see how many armies have access to this, because it's obviously quite powerful, especially with reroll charges. Luckily it's not an upgrade one, so you can only take it once, or unluckily if you're Custodes, I guess. Hardened Resolve, 1 CP strat, allows a Terminator unit to gain +1 toughness until the end of the phase, your opponent's fight phase or shooting phase. Doesn't say it ends, which is the thing that a lot of people are like laughing about, that these are going to go on forever. But I'm assuming obviously all of these will expire at the end of a phase, and you can't, you know, +10 toughness across the course of a game on a Terminator unit. One assumes anyway. So yeah, they combine, and again they keep reminding us that other parts are going to cost 2 detachment points. They're really kind of hammering this in now in every article, that you will be able to combine these with other detachments, which is good. But we're now going to look at the one that was today, which was the Death Guard. First detachment is Contagion Engines. Shockingly, it's all about the different engines that they have, the demonic ones primarily. So we have the Fetid Bloat Drone with Heavy Blight Launcher, Hellbrute, Mephitic Blight Hauler, all have the Contagion keyword. Friendly Contagion engine units, ranged attacks have Assault. That's pretty solid. Makes them a bit quicker. Kind of makes for the fact that they are otherwise quite slow. The only one, Mortarian's Hammer, I'm going to guess has the engines keyword, and you cannot take this with that, is the first one that I kind of think of. Enhancement, Parasitic Woe Reaper, Contagion Engines, heal D3. Nice way to keep them kind of alive. It's an upgrade, can put it on 3. Again, with all of these upgrades, if they're 10 points, they're nice. If they're 20 to 30 points, it gets very expensive very quickly to keep a 10 wound model alive, unless lethality changes in 11th, which a lot of people kind of feel it's not going to. It's superficial at best, because out of the Contagion engines, apart from the one with the roller kind of thing and the Mephitic Blight Hauler, you're not really going to want to charge the heavy one, whether it's called the Blight Launcher. I mean, the Hellbrute, yeah, you could probably charge that. I don't think I've seen Death Guard Hellbrute used this edition so far, to my knowledge, so it'll be interesting if that even makes change, but I can't imagine. The Assault is basically the best thing so far. I don't think the enhancement is enough to warrant spending the points unless it's really cheap. Blood Rust Deluge, 1 CP, Contagion Engine that's selected to shoot. They cause a unit to be afflictive. So yeah, like buffs, the kind of +1 AP equivalent by making them -1 save. Range is really nice, especially on the bloat drone with the mass amount of guns. The heavy blight launcher, because I think that's a solid strat. Luckily it only lasts for 1 activation, you don't kind of proc it for the entire phase. But yeah, the only one that kind of makes sense there is if you are using -1 to hit, -1 to save, because -1 OC and -1 to hit doesn't really work when you're shooting them. It does obviously trigger the -1 toughness as well, so it can be really useful for getting an enemy unit below a certain threshold without having to, try and run Poxwalkers up the table and get them to survive and be in range of the Knight, for example, that you'll drop to T10. We then have Flyblown Host, Verminimus Haze. It's been a long week. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select 2 friendly Plague Marine units. They have Infiltrate, really solid ability. It's again taking 1 detachment point, a great way to get them up the board. If you can take it with Victorum, the sticky detachment, would be quite useful, slightly more durable than Poxwalkers, and then at least you can get forward and do that. We then have Insectile Mermation, which is an upgrade, so you can take it multiple times. If your unit's in contagion range, reroll 1s to wound. Slightly ups your efficiency in terms of damage, because can fish for kind of extra wounds if there's any dev abilities, things like that. But yeah, just slightly more efficient on damage. However, most of the time people have them getting out of rhinos, which triggers reroll wounds anyway, so not 100% sure how useful this is. Again, if you're taking it, well, it depends on what detachment that you can take this one with. If you can take it with Victorum, great. If not, maybe not so useful. 1 CP, Plague Marine unit. Their abilities have close quarters on their ranged weapons. That's really good. Basically, close quarters replaces pistol. You basically choose your close quarters weapons or other ranged weapons. Same as now, except you can only use close quarters weapons in shooting, so this ability allows them to kind of unload their quite scary amount of weapons and profiles into combat for 1 CP. That's a really good strat, because Plague Marines are surprisingly durable most of the time. And then we have Paragons of Putrescence. Hyper-virulent strains. Death Guard characters get +3 to their contagion range. Obviously, the more contagion you can throw out, the more units that are afflicted, the better things are. But I don't think that Death Guard struggle for causing things to be in contagion, particularly the further you get into the game. But it may still well be a worthwhile buff, but characters not always wanting to be at the forefront to push the contagion forward. Not sure. Lord of Contagion, probably a good one for it. Whatever the one that goes with the Death Shroud as well. Might be the same, same model, but yeah. Death Guard Infantry, once per battle per army. In your command phase, you can use this ability. If you do, select 1 plague listed in Nurgle's Gift. Enemy units within contagion range also are affected by that until the end of the battle. So you can double down. So gives a buff of adding an extra kind of contagion to one guy. So if infantry, so can't chuck it on a demon prince sadly. But being able to have a character that you can hide behind the wall, keep alive, or in Death Shroud, probably quite good. -1 to hit and -1 save and -1 toughness is quite brutal, especially against melee armies. And then we have Agravus Spasms. 1 CP, start the shooting phase, a Death Guard character unit. Select 1 visible enemy unit within contagion range of your unit. That enemy unit has +6 detection range, so it just allows you to make them more visible, so ups them from 15 to 21 in terms of detection, which for Death Guard is probably quite useful, where a lot of their movement is a lot slower than other armies. Yeah, so some relatively good things across the Custode and Death Guard ones. Nothing, again, screams unhinged. I think, again, it will be much easier to work out what is a really good combination once we know exactly what is 2 detachments points, what exactly the tags conflict, and you can't take them with the other one. Chaos Knights are next week. We now know, again, how close quarters weapons work, pistols, but allow you to trigger strats and things like the Death Guard has just shown. And then we also know that now Chaos Demons, Tyranids, and anything else with the monster keyword is going to be able to tank shock, but you take 1 mortal wound when you do it. So yeah, we also had the other sneaky kind of reveal after there was a lot of different leaks that were shared out, which is the terrain set, and I'm not going to play the video, but it looks interesting as a set. It looks like it's being created via UV printing, or painting, sorry, not UV printing.
Hey Aiden, wow, the table looks amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
I can't believe you've painted all this.
There we go. Hopefully you're not hearing them shouting at you while I'm talking, but yeah, as you can see, the set looks quite nice. It's quite a good set. It does kind of showcase kind of what that expectation of the terrain looking like, which is good. I know from a TO point of view, a lot of people have been kind of panicking about trying to get things ready, making sure it kind of works. So it's nice that it's kind of in line with that, what I'm doing at least. But I think the biggest thing will be how much does this cost. Rumours have kind of circulated of larger event organisers being offered it for £300 a set. If that's a discounted price, that's insane. Because if you're not bulk buying a couple of hundred, and it's already 300, what's it going to be? 400 a set is a lot to invest, particularly if people already have a lot of terrain. So a lot of the backlash I've seen as well, people are really interested in painting things for themselves with the terrain, and I hope there's an unpainted version. It also doesn't look like it's the same as the GW plastic, so not quite sure what it's kind of looking like. The other thing that they subtly released within was the Orc Biker as well, so they're getting a new model which very, very faithful to the original, but the guns have kind of moved up. So yeah, that is kind of it from me for this week. Kind of looking forward to 11th still.